Let's get started. Welcome everyone to today's webinar. We'll touch on Autodesk Construction Cloud 101, answers to frequently asked questions, and there's been quite a bit of these. Having a quick look at our agenda, I think it's very important that I just put into context the evolution of the Autodesk Construction Cloud offering. Some of you might wonder, but I thought this was about BIM 360. Once we go through that evolution of the products, it'll make a little bit more sense. I'm going to break it down into the components, being document management, model coordination, design collaboration, and then also touch a little bit on the project field and cost management side. Summarize all the changes, and then there will be a Q&A session, and I'm hoping that this time out of the Q&A session we get a bunch of questions. This being a frequently asked questions, there's too many to cover in a 1 hour session. So if there's any other questions that you think of as I go through the content, please remember them, type it in the chat box, and we'll get to it towards the end. First of all, some of you might be watching this from the future. In other words, some of you might be watching this recording on YouTube. For those who have live joined the webinar today, all of our previous recordings are also on YouTube. If you want to be updated with that, please go and hit that bell notification and click subscribe. Then you'll be able to either share this with your friends or also catch up with other webinars that's part of the different series that we're running at the moment. Now, meet your host. So this is me. My name's Yanni Fullion. Camera's turned on today so you can see what my lovely home looks like, and you can also get to see a face while I present. I head up the professional services team at Baker Baines. Originally came from an interior design background, but currently moved more into kind of construction management. And the bulk of my time at the moment is really spent on BIM and project information management, implementing and changing in terms of processes. Now, a fun fact about myself is that when all of these changes were announced, and these updates and everything around, this is BIM 360, this is Construction Cloud, this is unified platform, it got me feeling a little bit like this. Now, I passed higher grade math, so I don't really feel about this when we look at math, but definitely these changes got me really, really confused. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this very popular meme lady that you see in front of you. So today's session will really be, clearing up all of that. But before we start, just to see if you're all kind of engaged and you don't just have me on in the background, I'd like to just quickly hear from you, and I'm going to go ahead and launch a poll just to get an understanding of who's kind of used BIM 360 before. Let me go and hit launch there. Great, so you should see a poll pop up on your screen, and please, don't overthink it, just go and hit whatever the answer is. I'll give it a couple of seconds. I see about 25% of you have voted, so I just want to get a sense of the audience as well. Okay, there you go. So most of you are at the moment saying no, but you would like to, which is great news. Then you've come to the right webinar. Some, yes, you own your own subscriptions. Others, yes, you have been invited to projects. So I think there's a combination of, yes, I've used it, I'm familiar with it, and perhaps I'm familiar with it, but I haven't really used it, and I want to get a better sense of what's it all about. Okay, we're almost there with the voting. I'm going to wait 4 more seconds. And people are changing, no, it's not changing answers, it's just more answers coming in. Okay, let me go and hit close on that. Guys, thank you very much for your answers. So now that I get a little bit of a sense of who we have on the audience, I'm sure a lot of you have perhaps seen or heard talks about Construction Cloud and this image popping up, either on newsletters or on Autodesk websites, that type of thing. So Autodesk Construction Cloud has actually been around for a while. Autodesk Construction Cloud in itself is not new, but what has happened is there's a new unified platform and a common data environment. And some of these new products that you might have heard about being Autodesk Build, Autodesk Takeoff, and Autodesk BIM Collaborate. Now, I will explain more in detail how this fits in and how it affects any current projects or current works. But overall, it is still there to help you, whether you're in the design stage, the planning stage, whether you're a contractor in your building, or whether you are a facility manager and you're trying to make sure that your asset runs smoothly. Just to break it down a little bit, and for those of you who voted yes, you have used it before, these types of things will be familiar to you. So we still have our design aspect where you can do design collaboration, model coordination, quantification, bid management might be something new that some of you weren't aware of, project management, quality management, safety management, cost management, which we'll touch on. And then again, in the facility space, there's also tools and workflows available in this construction cloud platform of Autodesk's. Still, data is at the center of everything. We've got models, drawings, RFIs, meeting minutes, as-built. There's still an insight platform, which basically gives you insight to everything that is going on your project. And then right at the bottom there, you'll see the Builders Network. It's still an open API. So if you wanted to go and develop your own applications that run on top of the Construction Cloud Platform, you can. Now, you might be wondering, well, Yanni, how did we get here? Why is there now a Construction Cloud and new name changes? Why did the names change? You know, if you've been around for a while, you know that it's definitely not the first name change that we've seen. And let me clarify that for you. So having a look at the evolution of the Autodesk Cloud solutions, I'm hoping some of this will ring a bell. Back in the day, we used to have, and I didn't put dates to all of this because I don't think the dates are important, that'll confuse you more. Back in the day, we used to have BIM 360 Team. That was a very, I always say, easiest way to explain that it was a Dropbox on steroids. And BIM 360 Team eventually morphed into what we now know as BIM 360 Docs. And now with the release of the Construction Cloud Platform, or the unified platform, as some people refer to it, we have Autodesk Docs. Now, that red line that you see in front of you is very important, and I'll get to that in a second. Then for the Revit users on the call, you might remember Collaboration for Revit, or C4R, you know. In this world of BIM and Autodesk, we love ourselves a good acronym. So C4R, and C4R developed into what we now know as BIM 360 Design. BIM 360 Design, I think, became quite popular last year when we just headed into lockdown, when everyone kind of had to scramble to be able to work from home. BIM 360 became quite popular and was also released for a longer trial period from Autodesk. And that has now moved to BIM Collaborate Pro. Then, and if you're not familiar with any of these words that I'm putting up in front of you, but you are a Revit user, Collaboration for Revit, BIM 360 Design, and BIM Collaborate Pro. Easiest way to remember that, it's Revit work sharing on the cloud. Then BIM 360 Glue, a couple of years ago, changed into what we used to know as BIM 360 Coordinate, and is now BIM Collaborate. Now, again, if these words don't mean a lot to you, BIM Glue, BIM 360 Coordinate, and now BIM Collaborate, easiest way to explain it is it has similar functionalities to Imagine Navisworks in the cloud, if you are familiar with Navisworks. Then from a field management point of view, how we really connect the office to the field, we had BIM 360 Field, which changed to BIM 360 Build, and now there's a new evolution of that, which is just called Autodesk Build. Lots of names, lots of changes over a couple of years. You might still be confused. Important to note in this that BIM 360 Docs and BIM 360 Build is not going away. The reason why there's a red line is these products are not being replaced by Autodesk Docs and Autodesk Build, but it's a extra new piece of technology that is similar to the one before, but not a replacement. Whereas BIM 360 Design and BIM 360 Coordinate, which has moved to BIM Collaborate and BIM Collaborate Pro, is a new next generation version of that product. So if you're currently on BIM 360 Docs or BIM 360 Build, don't worry, I will explain the changes and how it affects you. So why the name change? Now, firstly, disclaimer here, this is not the Autodesk official answer for why there's a name change, but this is my opinion, and this is my opinion around why I think the name change was a good idea. The people online, we have about 20. I bet you've all heard the question or either answered the question, are you on BIM, which is often asked. I've heard a lot of people where if we ask them, are you on BIM? They go, oh, yes, we're on BIM. We worked with so-and-so engineer on BIM. And I go, like, on BIM or on BIM 360? No, on BIM 360. Very important to remember that BIM 360 is not BIM. BIM, although there's a variety of different definitions for building information modeling, you know, I took the very accurate Wikipedia definition here, and that is why I think it's a good idea that the name has changed, because now you won't say I'm on BIM. Are you using Autodesk Docs is much different than are you on BIM. There's no kind of confusion between the two terms and the two ways of working. You can very well be using Autodesk Docs without fully adopting a BIM workflow, or Autodesk Build for that matter. So when you talk to a contractor and that contractor is scared of BIM, they can still use Autodesk Build because it doesn't have the BIM name in it. So that's my opinion on the name change. Now, with that being said, I have probably not clarified a whole bunch of things for you so far. So now I'm going to break it down into a little bit smaller chunks and start off by looking at document management. So document management, like I had mentioned, Autodesk Docs is the new kit, the new kit on the block. And Autodesk Docs really is a common data environment solution. It connects your documents across the entire project lifecycle. So whether it is very early stages or whether you are already in operation, Autodesk Docs is a possible solution for you. It's our central source of truth. It's where everything comes together. If you have used BIM 360 Docs before, a lot of this you'll see would be very similar. Even your user interface here on the side you will see is also very similar. There's permissions, there's still document control, approvals, we can still do transmittals. It's still integrated into your 2D and 3D software, so you can view your Revit models or your AutoCAD files on Autodesk Docs. Issues are still there. Slight differences, slight improvements, but very similar to BIM 360 Docs, but called Autodesk Docs. Now, the important thing here, and I'm hoping that this is good news for some people, unless you already knew about this, but Autodesk Docs is now available in your Architecture, Engineering, and Construction collection. So if you have an AEC collection, a lot of users who are on a Revit or a Civil 3D typically have an AEC collection, but if you have an AEC collection, you will automatically have access to Autodesk Docs. It is also available in the other applications under Autodesk Construction Cloud. But looking at this, you go, well, that's great. I have an AEC collection. How do I get access to this? Well, first of all, you access it in your Autodesk account. Now, I'm hoping that you guys are familiar with your Autodesk account. If not, I can give you a show around quickly. Under your profile, manage products and services. My internet's a little bit slow because I'm doing two things at once. But once we are on products and services, you'll see I have quite a long list of products. Not everyone is as lucky as I am, but under your AEC collection, you can go and expand that and click on View All Items Included. If you view all items included, you will see here that in your AEC collection, there's now this new little icon that says Docs. It gives you a description, and you can go and click on Access Now. So it needs to be assigned to a user the same way how an Autodesk collection is assigned to a user. Very important thing here is that Docs is included in the AEC collection, but if you're wondering, oh, that's wonderful, I can use my Revit and I'll give my Docs to one of my colleagues, Sharing of your Docs license with another team member is not possible. That was one of the big questions that came up quite a lot, without giving access to, without giving up access to your AEC Collection. So if you have the AEC Collection, you have the Docs license. If someone else in your office does not have an AEC Collection, they won't automatically have access to a Docs license. Also, it is not available as a standalone subscription at this point in time. So if you just wanted to buy just Autodesk Docs for perhaps one of your colleagues or someone on your project, it is not available as a standalone at this point in time. Then, like I mentioned, it is part of your AEC subscription, and you can go and hit access now to start using it. Ideally, this should be done, you only have to do it once. So if you have 10 people in the office, they all have AEC Collections. You don't need 10 people to go and click access now. You can only have your contract manager do it, and they do it once. And then depending on how your Autodesk account is set up, for those who are not familiar with an Autodesk account, if you're an Autodesk user, that's your one kind of platform where all of your Autodesk information sits, and you can manage it from there. But if you have more than one team in your Autodesk account, perhaps you have ABC Architects Johannesburg and ABC Architects Cape Town. In that case, you can decide which team you wanted to activate it for. So in my case, I have 2 different teams, but I, for example, want to go and activate it for our internal professional services team. Then once you click activate, you'll have an option to create a new hub or convert a trial. So if you were, kind of one of the leading guys in going to explore this new Autodesk Construction Cloud offer, you might have already signed up for a trial. And in that case, you can convert that trial to a subscription. Otherwise, like the majority of us, you can just go in and say, actually, no, I want to create a new account. Then next step, you type in your account name and where you want your data to be hosted. Now, in the case of Autodesk Construction Cloud or this new unified platform, US is the option to go. Actually, in most cases, even our BIM 360 Docs clients, US is the option to go. There used to be an EU option on BIM 360 Docs, which is mostly just for the European customers. Unsure about what to make your account name? Ideally, account name should be your office or your company name. Don't make your account name a project name or something that will confuse you later, because as you get invited to more and more projects from other companies, you need to make very sure who's hosting this. So ideally, company name. Then once you've done that, your second option will be to decide if you want the new unified platform or the old BIM 360 platform for your new projects. I will get to, if you're unsure which one to choose, I will get to that in a second. So AEC Collection users, that is how you get access to Autodesk Docs. Now, are Autodesk Docs and BIM 360 Docs the same offering? No, I've mentioned that before, it's not the same. If you already have a subscription to BIM 360 Docs, you might wonder, well, what's going to happen with mine? Existing BIM 360 Docs users will stay on your BIM 360 platform. Nothing's going to change or crash or disappear or anything like that. And you can either keep that for your rest of the subscription and later renew to a unified platform if you wanted to. Is Insight still available in the new Autodesk Docs? Some people like using Insight, specifically more from an executive or a project management point of view. It's nice to have that insight into everything that's going on in your project. The answer is yes, it is still available. Okay, now with all of that said, I like thinking of examples, and I think if we put this into a more of a practical example, it might be easier for you to understand what's happening and how it's changing. So I'm going to introduce you to 3 people. Firstly, we have person A. Person A owns subscriptions to BIM 360, but he or she or their company do not have access to AEC Collection. So person A, for example, might be a project manager. They have an existing BIM 360 project, let's call that project A1, and they have a pipeline project, which they think will kick off quite soon. let's call that A2. Now, if you can relate to person A, keep person A in your mind. Then we have person B. Person B has been invited to work on various BIM 360 projects, and they have access to an AEC collection. So I think a lot of the customers that we have worked with in the past will most likely fit into this person B scenario. Now, person B is working on an existing project in BIM 360, let's call that project B1, and also they have a pipeline project which might be coming up soon, let's call that project B2. But what about person C? So I know that some of you said, no, you've not used it before, so you might be person C. And person C has no 360 experience. In other words, they have not used the platform before. They do, however, have access to an AEC collection, which will mean they now have access to Autodesk Docs. And they have a pipeline project or a project that will kick off soon. Let's say that is project C1. So let's see how this works with person A, person B, and person C. Now we've got BIM 360 on the one side and Autodesk Construction Cloud, or then Autodesk Docs on the other side. So the two different platforms. I can't necessarily call it the old and the new, but let's go with BIM 360 and ACC. That is the nice acronym that they use for Autodesk Construction Cloud. So you've got person A. Person A, remember, they don't have an AEC collection, but they do have BIM 360 licenses. So they have an existing project on BIM 360 Docs or whichever other BIM 360 project A1, and nothing happens to that project. That project stays and continues on BIM 360 Docs as it used to. Still some improvements that Autodesk put out in the updates like they used to in the past. Then person A also had this new kind of pipeline project, which they'll start soon, project A2, and he can create that project on BIM 360 Docs because that is what he currently has access to. And he can continue with that project if it's a 1 year or 2 year long project, however long, on BIM 360 Docs. Now person B, just to recap person B, she has worked on BIM 360 Docs on a project because other people invited her, and she has an AEC collection. So again, her project that is on BIM 360 already stays on BIM 360, continues on BIM 360, no problem. But she also has this new project. Now, because she has an AEC collection with a Docs and Autodesk Docs, which is under the Construction Cloud, she has an option. She can start her new project on ACC or on Autodesk Construction Cloud, or she can start her project or choose to start her project on BIM 360. So she has an option to go either the new or the old. Now let's have a look at person C. Person C, like some of you on this call perhaps, have not used BIM 360 before, but you have an AEC collection. So having an AEC collection means you have access to an Autodesk Docs. And you have this new project. And again, you would actually have an option to start it on the old platform, but because you have not used it before, there's no point in starting on the old one. You start your project on the new Autodesk Construction Cloud platform. I hope that puts it a little bit more into context. Now, you'll probably have a question, well, if I'm like person C or like person B, where I have the old and the new, how do I know what is where? And you can log into acc.autodesk.com to see and access projects on both Autodesk Construction Cloud and BIM 360 in a combined list. So if we have a look at this, you'll see some of my project has that a circular icon. To me, it almost looks like a bit of a spider web, but you have that icon, or you have the big B, and that is where all your projects are listed in one, and you can go into either environment, whether it be the new Autodesk Construction Cloud or BIM 360, all in one place. No need to jump onto different platforms. Now, there's a bunch of questions when we looked at the frequently asked questions from our customer base around the subscription options and how these work. Now, In the BIM 360 environment, if you invite team members to collaborate on your project, so Yanni's creating a new project and I invite someone from this call to join me on that project, that person will use one of your subscriptions. So if you invite someone on BIM 360 Docs to join your project, they are using one of your subscriptions. And if you are invited to another consultant's project, which I think some of you had also voted for in the poll, you will use one of their subscriptions. Even if you have your own, if you are invited to their project, you will use one of their subscription offers. This is the case for BIM 360 Docs, not the case for BIM 360 Design that has a bring your own subscription option, which I'll touch on in a little bit. So remember, BIM 360 Docs, if you invite someone, they use one of your, or out of your pool of licenses. When we look at Autodesk Construction Cloud or then Autodesk Docs and some of the other Construction Cloud applications, it all has a bring your own subscription offer. In other words, if you invite team members to collaborate on your project, they can bring their own subscriptions and you don't need to provide subscriptions to them. So if you are 2 people in your office and you are collaborating with 5 different consultants, you only need your 2 subscriptions. You don't need to provide licenses to your consultants. They can bring their own. But what if you invite team members to collaborate on your project, but, sorry, they don't have an AEC subscription. So if you are inviting someone and say, hi, please come work with me on this project, but they don't have access to bring their own, you can provide one to them if you wanted to. Or alternatively, you need to tell them, listen, part of our BIM execution plan for this project is that everyone needs to be on this platform. A lot of the times people like providing licenses to their consultants because it has a bit of sense of control and that you know that the project will be managed in a specific way on a common data environment. The answer is yes. If you want to still provide licenses to your consultants, specifically from an owner or from a client point of view, you can go do that. However, the license that you provide them, they can use on other projects. Whereas in the past, if you provide them a license, they could not use that on other projects. Now, whilst I'm talking about inviting and adding and licenses and all of that, a couple of things I just want to clarify. I think this is also important as you read some of the things on the Autodesk website to understand the difference between when we talk about a license and an entitlement, and then for that matter, a subscription. So a license or a seat is what is needed to join a project, either on BIM 360 or on Autodesk Construction Cloud, and the license or the seat is provided once the user accepts an invite. So once you accept an invite, you get a license or you get assigned a license. An entitlement, on the other hand, is the act of granting access to a product or a service. So if you, as ADC architects, have 10 Revit licenses and you want to grant or add an entitlement to one of your team members, you will need to go in your Autodesk account, create their name as a user and tick that they now have access to that. A subscription is the packaged offer that you purchase. So you buy a subscription, you accept your license, and you provide an entitlement. Now, in BIM 360 or on Autodesk Construction Cloud, Revit, Civil 3D, Plant 3D users, you will need to have your license ticked in your Autodesk account and invited to your project. However, if you are working on the old BIM 360 docs or document management side, no need for ticking boxes and doing things in Autodesk account. Basically, you just accept the email invite that you get and you have access. Now, just let's quickly have a look at this. Some of you might want to just see, give me an overview of what it looks like. So in here, again, I can see by the icons whether it is on the new platform or the old platform, makes it easy for me to, in one environment, go to what I need. Project settings looks the same. My members, if we jump over to members, this is Autodesk Docs that you're seeing in front of you on Construction Cloud. You will see your members looks very similar to BIM 360. Phone numbers have been added, which I think is quite nice. But now if we click on Anin, by the way, Anin has a couple of great webinars that's also recorded on our YouTube. You will see this is different. Under purchase products, so these are all the products that's purchased by our organization. I can turn it on and off, but you will see at the bottom there's also a not purchased product, which I can turn on or off. And this is because, you know, maybe a customer or maybe another consultant is providing that license to her. So this is how you kind of turn on and off what your users need in your Autodesk account. Now, a lot being said about Autodesk Docs, and again, today's session is unfortunately not to show you how great these applications are, but rather to answer all of these questions and clear up confusion. There is an Autodesk help, like with all other products, out for everything on Construction Cloud. I'm going to hold this page just for a second. You can go and scan that. If you've got a smartphone, just go to camera and it will pick it up. And that will take you to the link that has the full help menu for this, specifically for Autodesk Docs, because I think a lot of you on this call might have access to an AEC collection, and you can then go and read up a little bit about Autodesk Docs to get you started. Okay, I think everyone scanned it. Now, next up, let's have a look at collaboration and coordination. Again, I want to just come back here. C4R turned into BIM 360 Design, and that is now BIM Collaborate Pro. BIM 360 Glue, which used to be BIM 360 Coordinate, is now BIM Collaborate. So remember BIM Collaborate and BIM Collaborate Pro. Again, you might wonder, you know, what is this? What's the difference between the two, specifically if you weren't familiar with those older applications? So let's look at that. And also, why did it change? Third iteration of change. So what is BIM Collaborate Pro? Now, I'm going to look at the Pro first, and then I'll take you down to what just BIM Collaborate is. It is a platform for the whole project team. Basically, you can work anytime, anywhere in Revit, Civil 3D, Plant 3D. Specifically great in the times that we are living in, because a lot of us are perhaps at home still, if you're lucky. So from a designer's point of view, so this is what we call the model authors, the people who actually work on the applications for Revit, for Civil 3D or Plant 3D. There are different tools for you to do that without being necessarily connected to your normal Office server. For your reviewers, so this might be more perhaps you a BIM manager or one of the lead engineers who aren't actively involved in modeling the design up and drawing everything. You can see what is going on and review and centrally manage and see all of the data in your common data environment. And for the decision makers, they will be able to share feedback, look at insights, and detect clashes from any device. So, you know, on your phone while you're sitting drinking coffee at the Seattle, or with an iPad on site. And what's quite nice about this is typically your decision makers or your reviewers might not necessarily have a Revit license, but now they can open your model, view it, and hopefully understand it a little bit better when viewing it in 3D. Now, Autodesk BIM Collaborate. Let's break it down into the three aspects of it. So Docs, we have our Autodesk Docs, issues, markups, file formats, everything around document management. We have design collaboration. So you can set your publishing in terms of, if I talk about publishing here, say every Friday I want to publish to the rest of the consultants. You can review your packages and distributions, look at design issues, compare different versions. Great aspect here, model coordination, automatic clash detection. You can group your clashes and you can address all of those coordination issues. Now, if we look at BIM Collaborate Pro, what is then added on top of that is Revit Cloud Work Sharing. So instead of your central model sitting on your server, your central model sits on the cloud and people can do Revit Cloud Work Sharing anywhere. Very similar if you're more on the civil side and you joined us today. Again, everything from a document management point of view. For the civil side of things, the design collaboration is coming soon, but model coordination is there. Do your clash detection, group your clashes, coordinate those issues between the different consultants, And then if we look at BIM Collaborate Pro, which is the a little bit added to it, we have collaboration for Civil 3D, where we do automated file locking. We can manage our Civil 3D projects on the cloud instead of having a bunch of XREFs and documents sitting on a server. So Collaborate is design collaboration, model coordination, and then the Pro takes us into that Revit work sharing environment. Like I mentioned, these, if you are used to BIM 360 Design or if you are used to BIM 360 Coordinate, all of those tools that you used to love and use on a frequent basis is still available. Clash detection is still there. You can identify your different clashes, keep them updated as new models are uploaded weekly, and involve everyone in that. So coordination meetings, you know which issues to address, you know perhaps who haven't responded to their issues, everything in one place. Same with your managed collaboration. You can coordinate within one team with that central Revit model and then publish those packages out to the rest of the consultants to then go and consume and bring back into their model. So this is very similar to what you might have been used to if you use the BIM 360 platform. Now, let's jump back to our people to just put this into where you are and how this affects you. Person A, remember, person A owns BIM 360 Docs, no AEC Collection, got a couple of projects. Person A most likely is a project manager. Person B has been invited to work on various BIM 360 projects, perhaps more just on a document management side. They have access to an AEC Collection. They've got an existing BIM 360 project and a pipeline project. Person C, no BIM 360 experience, but they have an AEC Collection. Now, person B here is probably my favorite person. And person B is buying a BIM Collaborate Pro so that her team can collaborate from home. Now, if you're that person or you fit into that block and you're going, well, Yanni, it sounds wonderful. What if I buy this BIM Collaborate Pro? How is it going to happen? So if person B buys a BIM Collaborate Pro, it means that her new project, project B2, she can choose to start BIM Collaborate Pro again, either on BIM 360 or she can start to collaborate her project on Autodesk Construction Cloud. So the common thread here kind of is, if you have access to the new platform, you can go new or old. If you have access to the old platform, you stay on the old. So BIM Collaborate Pro projects may be set up either in a BIM 360 environment or in a Construction Cloud environment. You can decide which way to go. So why is Autodesk changing the name of design and releasing this new offer called BIM Collaborate to BIM Collaborate Pro? So with the upgrade of BIM 360 Design to BIM Collaborate Pro, there's a new version without the co-authoring, i.e. if I say co-authoring, the BIM Collaborate part. And what Autodesk is basically doing is they're creating two distinct offerings for different types of people. And this allows you to more closely go, well, I am a Revit user, I draw on Revit all the time, this one is for me, versus I'm perhaps a BIM coordinator or a project engineer. I don't use Revit all the time, but I do play a very big role in coordination and overseeing everything that is going on. And there's then an option for both of you. There's the official Autodesk answer if you wanted to have a look. But now you might wonder, what if you are person D? Now, I haven't spoken about person D. Now, person D already owns subscriptions to BIM 360 Design, and he or she is happily using it on projects, and well, they have new projects that will kick off soon. What if you are person D? Don't worry, person D. Person D might wonder, what happens to my current BIM 360 Design? So, existing BIM 360 Design subscriptions will be upgraded to BIM 360 Collaborate Pro automatically on a one-to-one rate. Now, in the past, BIM 360 Design did not include clash detection. Now you get it. You get it automatically. So now you can do all of your wonderful things that you used to do on BIM 360 Design, plus you get access to cloud-based clash detection. So person D, you are winning. Also, when BIM 360 Design is upgraded to BIM Collaborate Pro in the Autodesk account, this is similar to what we've seen with the previous example, you can choose to either go BIM 360 account, or you will be provided with access to an Autodesk Construction Cloud. So you could go either way in this case. Also, if you're not sure, where would you see this, or where would you go, oh, well, Yanni, you told me I've been automatically upgraded to BIM Collaborate Pro, and now I have clash detection functionalities. Again, you can access the Autodesk Construction Cloud by hitting Access Now in your Autodesk account, very similar to that first example that I've shown you. Great, so let's look at project and field management. So this is the part where we talk about BIM 360 Build, Autodesk Build. What changed? How is it going to affect you? Summary again here, BIM 360 Field turned into BIM 360 Build, did not turn into Autodesk Build, but this is Autodesk Build, the new kid on the block. Now you might think Autodesk Build, or I'm not sure if we have any plan group users in the audience, or perhaps listening online. You might think, oh, okay, so these are just now, you know, this is the new Autodesk Build. It's not. Both Autodesk Build and PlanGrid will remain, will continue. Autodesk Build is just a new application. And this new application is on the unified Autodesk Construction Cloud Platform. And basically what it does is it combined the best of both worlds. So it combined the best of what used to be in BIM 360 Build and what still is in BIM 360 Build and PlanGrid, and put it into one. We have great field execution and mobile capabilities, and it's basically all in one. So there used to be a lot of people on BIM 360 Build going, I like this, I like this, I like this. And same with PlanGrid, and Autodesk looked at the two and go, how can we improve on this and make a new offer? And that is called Autodesk Build. So it is not a replacement, but rather an additional application. In terms of an overview of what you can do with Autodesk Build, document management now, cost management might be new to some, because in the past, in BIM 360 Build, cost management was an additional paid for extra. So a lot of people, at least from our customer base, did not have access to that, but that cost management is a part of BIM 360 Build, of Autodesk Build. As well as, if you are familiar with BIM 360 Build, you'll see, but oh, I'm not used to this project closeout. That is something that came more from the PlanGrid side that is now in Autodesk Build. A couple of other things that's different and improved on in Autodesk Build: video and photo gallery, cost items, custom forms, some of those types of things. So again, if you are familiar with the old platform and you look at this, it will seem quite familiar with some improvements on. Just to highlight some of the things that I quite enjoy that is now part of Autodesk Build is your budget creation and contract administration. So you can import budgets and use different types of templates to do your cost management. You can create contracts with quite a bit of flexibility, and then you can also customize different ways of how you want to look at your budget and calculate your different columns within that. So now we're not only just looking at a model with all the data, but we also have a budget and that cost element added to it. Change orders also. In the old BIM 360, you know, we saw RFIs, there were ways that you could go and create contract instructions, but in Autodesk Build, with your cost module change orders, you can go and link the origin of the change order or a potential change order, see where or which RFI it came from, keep within the budget, you know, create and send owners, specialized or supplier change orders, and really have a better control over your change orders so that it's not something that sits outside of your common data environment. Now, Autodesk Build subscription changes, something to mention here. If you are familiar with BIM 360 and BIM 360 Build or Docs or whatever else the case is, you might know that the subscriptions there used to be available in user packs. So you would have the cost for 1, the cost for 10, the cost for 25, the cost for 100. This is different in Autodesk Build. Their subscription changes are available in 3 tiers. When I looked at this the first time, I was very confused, and as soon as I really got it, it made a lot of sense, and I think this is a great idea. There's Autodesk Build 550, Autodesk Build 5000, and then Autodesk Build Unlimited. Now, what do these mean? They refer to a sheet count. Now, a sheet count is what counts as a sheet. So a sheet is the total of numbers of sheets. If sheets sound like a new word to you, it is similar to your plans that you had in a BIM 360 environment, or sheets from PlanGrid. Your sheets is the total number of sheets, and if you have access to 550 sheets, you have access to see 550 sheets only across all of your platforms, or of all of your projects. You can delete as many sheets as you want as long as you stay below the minimum. All plan sheets, including revisions, are counted towards the limit. So that is important to remember. If you have 1 sheet and the sheet is on version 55, that will count actually as 55 sheets. Keep in mind that documents that are hosted in the files area, or the document management area in this case, is not counted as a sheet. Now, I looked at this and I thought, well, who would ever use 550 sheets? I mean, of course you'll go far over that. But if you think of where Autodesk Build is best used, whilst the project is in construction and you've got different contractors, if there is a small subcontractor and they're only doing the kitchen fit out, there's no point in giving them access to everything unlimited and spending more on that than you should. A 550 sheet is perfect because they will have access to the sheets that's relevant to their trade. So depending on who you are and depending on what your role is, there's basically a sheet size that is for you. And it's great because it means that you're not paying for unlimited where someone actually just uses a fraction of it. Again, now, looking at that with all of these sheets, what if you are Person E? Now, Person E owns subscriptions to BIM 360 Build. They are using it on projects, and they have some new projects that will kick off soon, and they will need new subscriptions. So you might be wondering, what happens to my current subscription of BIM 360 Build? Existing BIM 360 Build subscriptions will not be affected. When your renewal time comes around, you can renew and change to Autodesk Build. But what if you need new subscriptions? If you need new subscriptions, when you buy Autodesk Build, when you buy then the new version or Autodesk Build subscription, again, you'll have an option of either going, I want to use it in this older environment, or I want in the BIM 360 environment, or I want to use it in the Autodesk Construction Cloud environment. Great, so that was a mouthful, and I hope that some of the confusion was cleared up, and that at least during all of this I addressed 1 or 2 of your frequently asked questions. But in summary, this slide might also look like something you've seen before. Autodesk Docs included in all above subscriptions. So in BIM 360 Collaborate, Collaborate Pro, Takeoff, Build, it is included. It gives you that centralized document management. And then we have BIM Collaborate Pro. BIM Collaborate Pro, ideal for kind of your virtual design construction teams. It's got your design collaboration model coordination. BIM Collaborate Pro then adds Revit Cloud Work Sharing and collaboration for Civil 3D and Plant 3D. Autodesk Takeoff, I haven't mentioned much, or I haven't mentioned anything about Autodesk Takeoff. That is brand new. So the biggest frequently asked question around Autodesk Takeoff is, what is Autodesk Takeoff? And then there is an answer to that. And then Autodesk Build, again, included in that subscription is Build and Cost and your PlanGrid Build mobile app. PlanGrid used to have a really great mobile app, which I think a lot of people in the field really enjoy. Now, if you're looking at all of this and go, that's wonderful, can I test it? Yes, you can. So on the Autodesk website, if you go to Autodesk Construction Cloud, there are trials available for Autodesk BIM Collaborate and BIM Collaborate Pro, as well as Autodesk Build. So you can go and sign up for your 30-day free trial to go and use that. Then I told you that we mentioned Autodesk Takeoff, and I didn't really say much more than that. And I'm sure some of you might have a lot of questions that I didn't address today. But guys, save the date. You will get communication about this quite soon. But on the 14th of May, we will have our Autodesk Construction Cloud Unified Platform Deep Dive virtual event, where we'll go into this is what it looks like, this is what you can do with it. These are the types of challenges that it will solve, and this is how it can really make your life easier and actually show you how it works. So with that being said, and I think I'm today going to manage to end in time, there must be some questions. I think I've covered a lot of the frequently asked questions, but I'm sure there will be more. So I'm going to turn my head this side and open up my question box here and say to everyone online, please give me your questions and let's see if I can answer that for you. Okay, one of the questions that is something that we always get is how much does it cost? There's a variety of different costs for all of these applications. Like I mentioned, Autodesk Docs, if you have an AEC collection, it doesn't cost you anything, you automatically get access to it. If you look at BIM Collaborate and BIM Collaborate Pro, the BIM Collaborate Pro is pretty much the same price as what BIM 360 Design used to be, but you get the clash detection now included, and BIM Collaborate is a little bit less than that, and Autodesk Build, like I mentioned, depending on which sheet pack you want to go for. If you want the actual costs, I don't know them all off by heart, but if you want the actual costs, please let me know. Okay, I see another question here. When was all of this released? These announcements were made in November at Autodesk University, but it was only really released, and it kind of had a scattered release. So some of it was released in Feb and some released in March. So if you are watching all of this and you're going, how did I not know about this? Don't worry, it was released like a month ago. It's still fresh, and you have not fallen behind, or you are not up to date with things. It has been released very recently. Okay, I don't see any other questions. So either I confused you more or I answered everything. I'm hoping it's because I answered everything. But guys, you might have the question and you didn't ask them, or I'm going to give you this answer anyway. How can we help you? For those of you who aren't too familiar with Baker Baines, we are more than just people who provide webinars and sell Autodesk software. Our focus, and specifically my team's focus, is all around business improvement consulting. We have our own consulting methodology. We do quite a bit of work in the survey, design, and hardware space, so that's your scan to BIM services. One thing that I'm not sure about Autodesk Construction Cloud yet, and I'm not sure why I didn't get that question, is does it support 3D scan data? I think the answer is not yet. Also do some virtual and classroom training, and we're the second largest goal partner. And from a training point of view, we believe in blended training, so combinations of online self-paced, virtual instructor-led, classroom, and so forth. But to make this a little bit more to the point, if you're on AEC Collection users and you want to know, how do I get started with Docs? Well, we have an Autodesk Docs Kickstarter. An Autodesk Kickstarter is a very affordable, quick, easy services engagement where we can help you get up and running in no time. If you want to see more about these products and see these products in action, what they can do, how do they compare with the old ones, or if you're not familiar with the old ones, you want to just get a better feel for it, you can join our next event on the 14th of May. And if you have a new project soon and you're wondering, well, what is the best way to manage a common data environment, or collaboration, or coordination, or working with the contractors, administering contracts, contact us and we can assist with matching specific solutions to the type of project information management that your project would need. Like I mentioned, other than just those 3 things, we have a consulting methodology that we had developed, which can also help you develop and implement digital strategies, adopt some of the technology that you already have. Our focus is always around what's the purpose for our engagement, how are we doing things, and it goes quite far beyond just the drawing office or the CAD environment. You know, when we start talking about things like takeoff and build, there's a lot of clients and developers, quantity surveyors, project managers, contractors that are all also involved in this project. Yes, and with 5 minutes to spare, that is it from me. If you guys want to contact us, perhaps you didn't have a question right now and something else pops up, or you want to get a hold of us for any of the Kickstarters that I mentioned, here's all of our online details. This recording will be available on YouTube if you want to share it with your friends or your colleagues, perhaps they have questions. And then if you are an existing Baker Baines customer, you're welcome to contact our support desk. So even if you have a question around how to access your Autodesk Docs tonight at 11, you can still contact us. Guys, thank you for listening to me, and I hope I provided at least one answer to one of the questions that you had before. Have a great weekend all. Cheers.